So this is the new Super Meteor from Royal Enfield. Now we've seen the engine before in the Interceptor and the Continental GT. It's a 650cc parallel twin, air-cooled. Who would have thunk it in 2023 we'd still be getting air-cooled engines, but we are. And that's one of the major features of this bike, the fact that it is a traditional style, very retro in its looks, and a cruiser. And again, cruisers are kind of out of fashion. Retro not so much, there's plenty of retro bikes out there, but hey, there's not many cruisers left. And this is a LAMS bike for Australia, learner approved motorcycle, so you don't need to have a full license to ride it, and yet it's a full-size motorcycle, unlike most of the other small cruisers out there. Honda's CMX 500, very, very low seat, very nice bike, but it's quite small and compact. Kawasaki Vulcan 650 is the other competition for this bike. And again, parallel twin engine, but that one's liquid cooled, as is the Honda's. So this one is a bit different. It's not actually a lot different in the weight compared to the other two. Honda's probably a little bit lighter, I haven't looked it up yet, but this bike feels like a big bike, whereas the other two bikes feel like smaller or mid-range bikes. This actually feels much bigger, even though it's actually not. The engine provides decent performance. I mean, compared to high-powered big bikes, the modern Harleys with their engines pushing close towards 2-litre capacity, of course it's not going to compare with those, but it's about a third of the price of a Harley, or some of the big bore Harleys as well. So I don't think they're in the same category, even though there's not that many other cruisers out there. So you've got Indian, Harley, and as I say, only a handful of others. This bike's been built from the ground up to be a new motorcycle from Royal Enfield, although, as I say, the engine is adopted from the other bikes. So they've built a cruiser with retro style, but a lot of modern components. So the forks are upside down. First time we've had upside down forks on a Royal Enfield, and they're from Showa, non-adjustable. The rear shocks, probably from Showa as well, or made under license, maybe designed by Showa. Initially, I thought they were pretty firm. I thought they were a little bit underdamped. I've backed them off a notch to soften them up a bit for Australian roads that are very bumpy at the moment. We've had a lot of rain and the roads are in terrible condition, and that made it quite a lot better. And there's even one notch to go. It's a bit of a shame though that someone who's weighing in at close to 100 kilos with all my riding gear on is needing to soften up suspension. That means if you're a lightweight rider, this bike might be too firm for you and you might need to do something about that suspension. For me, I'd probably want to replace those shocks anyway. They're built to a price, and look, the bike is $12,000 right away from your dealer. Very, very good value for money bike. So you can't expect everything, but these shocks, they are definitely built to a price. But there's not much else about this bike I don't like. I mean, the engine's lovely. It's just plods along and it's got enough performance. It'll overtake slow moving vehicles without any drama. It'll get you off the line from the traffic lights, no problem at all. And it's just a nice, smooth parallel twin. Old parallel twins used to vibrate terribly, but they've got the balance right in this. You know it's running, you know that's there, but it's not uncomfortable or annoying even after a few hours. Now, Royal Enfield's got some really nice touches. Everything looks quite retro and old style, but it works quite well. The brakes are ABS. The brakes don't have that much bite. They're Bribes, which is a Brembo spin-off company in India, and they work fine. They don't have the bite of a really, really top-level brake. Again, that's fine. They're not intimidating. If there's one thing about this bike, it's not. It's intimidating. It's very easy to ride. It's very, very friendly. Royal Enfield like to promote it as pure motorcycling, and I totally get that. It's very easy to ride, it's fun to ride, it's great to just plod around on. Now, it's got forward controls. Very few cruisers really have genuine forward controls, but this one's got it. Is the way they've mounted them up and set them up pretty as a Harley or an Indian? No. Again, comes back to price for value. It looks fine to me. and it works quite well. So when you're sitting on the bike, you're actually got your feet out in front. So your feet are out here on the brake, and the handlebars are wide, slightly pulled back, so you're sitting up. You're in a nice upright riding position. And the seat's quite well padded. There's also a touring seat available. It's quite comfortable. Plodding along at around 80, 90 kilometres an hour, it's pretty good. Like most cruisers, you get above that speed, up beyond 100 kilometres an hour, you're going to start to notice that wind breeze and things like that. If you're going to do that regularly, you probably want to buy the touring version with the screen. That'll take a bit of pressure off your chest. Up front, we've got the Tripper navigation, so you can match that up with your Google Maps, and it'll tell you what sort of turns are coming up next for your thing. Very basic, but it works. Instruments, there's no tacho. Apart from that, they're fine. It's got a sweeping analog speedo and an LCD panel in the middle to give you some other information. Everything else works quite well. The mirrors actually give you a half decent view of what's behind you. It's got an LED headlight, LED tail light. There's no real bells and whistles, apart from ABS, if you consider that a bell and whistle. So you don't get things like riding modes, cornering ABS, cruise control, nothing like that, no heated grips. It's just a basic motorcycle. And I think that's great. I think it's fantastic that you can still buy a basic motorcycle in 2023 without all the fruit on it. It's at a great price, and I think you'll get years and years of enjoyment out of owning a Super Meteor.